All right, welcome to the postgame show, everybody. I'm a little bit late tonight. I was busy doing the network pregame, halftime, and postgame show for Birdo, so appreciate you sticking with me here. And what a game we have to react to here tonight as the Nuggets beat the Kings. 132 to 123 is your final at Ball Arena. The Nuggets improved to 28-16 on the year. They've won 4 straight. They are surging. They're now 11-3 in their last 14 games. You know, I said this to myself going into tonight's game. I was like, wow, it really feels like there is expectations now for this team every single night. And it didn't really feel that way earlier on in the season, but wow, what a game. Nikola Jokic, we have to start with the Joker. And, you know, I try to not talk about Nikola Jokic constantly, and it is difficult, but I try not to talk about Joker constantly because he is so good that you come to expect this every single game. And, if we were just talking about Nikola Jokic all the time, there's so many things to say about this guy. But tonight is one of those nights where it really was, even for Joker, it really was one of those just absolutely special types of performances from Nikola Jokic tonight. And that's not even including the 66-foot buzzer beater at the end of the third quarter that was absolutely unbelievable from Nikola Jokic. So here's Joker's stat line from tonight, okay? By the way, I don't have my sheet in front of me. Let me grab this here. I wrote this down because this is insane. So this was Joker's stat line at the end of the first quarter. 9 points, 7 rebounds, and 7 assists in the first quarter. I mean, Joker was damn near a triple-double by the end of the first quarter in tonight's game, which is absolutely insane. But for the game, he shoots 12 of 19 from the field, very efficient, 9 of 10 from the free throw line, which is good because the Nuggets actually struggled from the free throw stripe tonight. 22 rebounds, 17 assists, had a steal, 2 blocks, just 1 turnover, and 35 points for Nikola Jokic. It was an all-time performance from the Joker this evening. And I tell you what, I know that it's going to be a tightly contested race for MVP this year between Nikola Jokic and Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, but this was an absolutely incredible performance tonight from Joker. And I really do think this is one of those games in that third quarter, into the third quarter buzzer beater is one of those signature moments that every MVP has to have each year. And that's just going to go down as one of those moments, I think, at the end of the year. And that thing is going to be played on our radio station all day tomorrow. Cause had an awesome call. I was listening to Hastings and Marlowe on Altitude TV as well. And it was just, you got to hear Scott. He was befuddled. He didn't even know what to say. He was just amazed by Nikola Jokic. And we're going to be seeing that highlight time and time again. And I do have it up, and I will share that with you all here in just a second. But let's bring in our guy, KJ Granderson, to the show to react to Kings and Nuggets. KJ, welcome to the show.
What's up, DT?
What was your reaction when Nikola Jokic hits the 66-foot end of the third quarter buzzer beater? And just, before I get your reaction, the best part for me, KJ, was not that he hit it. I mean, it was, because afterwards it doesn't happen if he doesn't. But he hits the 66-footer, KJ, and then he just kind of walks off the court and sits on the bench. This dude really treats the NBA like a 9-to-5. It is incredible to watch. Initial reactions from that shot in tonight's game overall.
Man, that shot, dude, I was sitting up here like, what did I just see? Because I just knew, I was like, okay, this has a chance of going in. I was like, oh, will it? And then, when I saw that it was not going bank, I was like, uh-oh, this thing look like it's on, and then boom,
Yeah.
it hits. And I'm just, like I said, bro, I'm just like, oh my God. I'm like, I cannot believe this shot just went in. And so the shot was so good. I had to show my wife who could care less about sports. And even she was shocked. She was like, what? So, dude,
Wow.
don't tell me, man. When I say that shot was amazing, bro, I'm talking about just one of the best all-time Jokic shots as far as, like, just end of quarter, Jokic just being funny, doing the Jokic thing that he does, dude. I mean, just absolutely amazing. Going to the game overall. The game overall was good. Through the first three quarters, obviously, Nuggets at the end of three, they're up 25.
Mm-hmm.
They're playing one of the best games they played all season up to that point. And then in the fourth quarter, it was like their first 3 or 4 shots. Maybe it was their first 5 shots. Forgive me for not remembering off the top of my head. But they were all threes right off the bat. And Sacramento, they're going down. They're making their threes. Keegan Murray, Doug McDermott, crushing it.
Mm-hmm.
And here's Julian Strawther and Russell Westbrook and whoever else is on the court. They're passing, they're missing, they're taking weird step back jumpers that it's just not within the flow of the offense. So you're seeing that lead dwindle from 25 to 20 to 18 to 14. The next thing you look up, Nikola Jokic has to come back in the game and save the Denver Nuggets once again.
Yeah.
And I think that's my overall takeaway. Is the last few games he hasn't had to rescue them, but the one time that he has, it's I'm okay with it because he put together a historic performance tonight. But that's not something that we want to get in the habit of. We don't want to fall back into that old habit. Old habits die hard. I know,
Mm-hmm.
but we don't want to fall back into old habits where Nikola has to come save the day again, like he's, Denver's Superman.
Yeah. Yeah. This was the first game in 5 games where Joker had to actually play in the fourth quarter.
Right.
And you know what? Like, he played the majority of the fourth quarter. And again, KJ, like, that's what the benefit is of having games where you're blowing teams out and Joker doesn't have to play the fourth quarter. Well, tonight's a game where that catches up to the team and benefits the Nuggets by allowing him to play extended minutes in that fourth quarter when the Nuggets needed him, like you said, to sort of rescue them there at the end. I mean, the Kings started the fourth on a 14-0 run to start that fourth quarter. They ended up winning the quarter 38-22. Like you said, Keegan Murray, Doug McDermott, they just couldn't seem to miss there in that fourth quarter. I thought Jamal got a little bit sloppy on the defensive end in that fourth quarter. Overall,
and I hate when he does that, and then he also starts complaining to the refs. I'm like, come on, man.
Yeah. I mean, overall, I thought Jamal was okay tonight. He wasn't super efficient. 8 of 18, not terrible. Just 1 of 6 from beyond the arc. It's just one of those nights where it's just like not falling for him, which is going to happen. But luckily for Jamal, and this is sort of becoming a theme, KJ, of this team, the starters have just been really balanced over the last couple of weeks, especially. And maybe that's the Russell Westbrook effect, because they have been unbelievably balanced, other than Jokic tonight, who was just out of this world. I mean, you had MPJ get 20, Russ gets 18, Jamal gets 18, and Christian Brown gets 21. And then you add in Joker's 22 rebounds, 17 assists, and 35 points. This was probably the first time with the Gordon experiment coming off the bench where the bench didn't look all that great tonight. Now, there was that weird thing that happened with AG in the first half. He actually, a couple of people from the game, and let me pull this up here so I get it right. We're reporting on this. Let's see here. I've seen a tweet that says Aaron Gordon unleashed some frustration on a chair and left through the tunnel after the first quarter. And it's like, oh no, he's dealing with the calf injury. So initially, rightfully so, I saw a lot of people online saying that, oh boy, is this the calf flaring up again or something wrong there? Right. He ends up coming back in the game, and I don't know if you got a chance to hear Coach Malone's postgame show. We'll play it here in just a few minutes. He said Aaron Gordon, as far as he's aware, he had to go to the bathroom. So I'm still confused, KJ. I'm still confused because, I'm seeing reports of like unleashing frustration on a chair and then leaving through the tunnel. Like, why are you beating up a chair if you just got to go drop a deuce or do whatever he's got to do? I think Aaron Gordon might have had his Lamar Jackson moment tonight,
That's
where he
what I
had
was
to leave
just
mid-game.
Hey, look, he went full Paul Pierce on this.
What's that?
I said he went full Paul Pierce on this.
Okay. I'm glad you brought that up because I've heard the Paul Pierce thing, but I know about the Lamar thing. I know Joel Embiid missed a game because he said he had diarrhea, which is hilarious. But I don't know the Paul Pierce. Like, do you know the details behind that? What happened there with Paul Pierce?
Oh man, so Paul Pierce, he told the story one time with KG on KG's podcast. Long story short, it was the game he got injured and he had to be wheeled off in the wheelchair. And
that's right.
Yeah, everybody thought that he was like hurting.
He probably was. In the guts. Probably sweating a little bit too.
He was sweating all right. And so he was like,
We've all been there.
Dude, and look, hey.
I've had Taco Bell at 1 a.m., man. I've been there, okay?
Hey, look, McDonald's, you know what I mean? Like, look, man, hey, you just eat the wrong thing one day. You thought it was going to be good to you.
Yeah.
It's like, no, I'm good. So he was like, long story short, he was like, he couldn't take it no more. So he had to fake an injury so he could get wheelchair to the back to go use the bathroom, and then he just stayed back there. I was like, bro, this has got to be one of the weirdest things I think I've heard from a guy who was an NBA champion and was like an actual star in the NBA.
Can you imagine if that happened on TNT with Shaq, Chuck, and Kenny and Ernie? I mean, they made fun of Anthony Davis being taken off the court in a wheelchair when he got, hit in the head. I don't know if you've ever seen that clip. It is hilarious. Man, that's too good. So let me ask you, KJ. You and I have discussed this a lot, and this has been a discussion really sort of on our radio station as a whole. And Michael Malone's been asked about this a lot too, with Aaron Gordon coming off the bench. And like I said, I think tonight was probably the first game where it didn't seem like it was as effective as we have previously seen over the last 5 games or so. Kaz and I were talking about this on the pregame show. And, Kaz brought up a good point, and I kind of asked him about this. It was like, when do you think, do you think Malone's going to keep this going and ride the hot hand, if you will, meaning Aaron Gordon continuing to come off the bench because it's working? But I guess my question is, do you think a game like tonight where it doesn't really work as well as it has been over the last couple of games, do you think Malone's just kind of in there for one game? If it doesn't work, okay, we're back to the original starting lineup. Aaron Gordon, you're back in the starting lineup. Or would you like to see him sort of play this out over the course of a couple of games to see if it becomes a trend? Because who knows, man? This could be back to a really effective second unit a couple nights from now when they start their 5-game road trip. So I'm just curious your thoughts on if you'd like to see this continue with Aaron Gordon coming off the bench, or do you think they should reinsert him into the starting lineup if it doesn't work?
Wrap it out, man. Look, we can't let one moment buck the trend. The overall trend has been good since he's moved to the bench. He has, like I talked about the other night, the energy, the pacing, his ability to kind of dictate the flow of the game. He has the ability to bring the ball up. He's running more primary action, not just the screen roller or the guy that sits in the dunker spot, which is essentially what he does when he is playing alongside Nikola Jokic, which is no problem. I just love the role that he has to play with the bench, which is forcing AG to be more efficient, which he has been since coming back from the injury. And it allows him to just play more free, man. He doesn't have to think about, do I have to get this ball to Nikola, or, do I have to get this ball to Jamal? Most of the time, he can just get downhill. I love that for Aaron Gordon. if there is a role that Malone can carve out where that is a consistent role for Aaron Gordon, I think you should lean into it. And I know Aaron Gordon was once a star in Orlando, but at the end of the day, if we're talking about what works best for the Nuggets, we all have seen it with our own eyes that if the Nuggets are not going to make a trade, Aaron Gordon moving to the bench was the next best thing. And I think if he understands what's best for him, as far as being able to be a consistent force and have more of a role of being a ball handler and being more of the primary option on offense, which he has been in his career, this is the time to do it. Now is the time to do that for Aaron Gordon. We know he won't give us 25 points a night off the bench. That's not his role. But he'll give you, 10 to 14, 6 rebounds, maybe 2 blocks, maybe a couple of steals, a couple of assists. Like in that role where he's playing, that would be 28 minutes a night max.
Yeah, let's see, what did he play tonight? What did he play tonight? 17 tonight, but obviously that was a little bit weird because he had the bathroom gate, we'll call it, I guess.
Right.
I'm still trying to, please feel free to let me know if I missed it in the chat. Anybody listening, let me know if you've seen any updates. I'll look as well. Because, like I said, Malone did say in his postgame, he didn't say it was injury related, KJ. He's like, as far as I know, this is Malone. He had to go to the bathroom. So, I mean, when I heard that, it's number one, it's hilarious, just because I always find that stuff funny. But number two, it was sort of like take a deep breath or exhale, if you will, that it's not the calf injury, because I know that was my initial concern, obviously.
Absolutely.
And the fact that he I'm just seeing that I was able to go to the game tonight because I'm here at the station doing radio stuff. And so I'm just basing this on reports I've seen. But yeah, that's, I guess, good news. And I guess we'll find out more tomorrow if there was anything more to that, or if it was just he had to use the bathroom, which is absolutely fine. All right, KJ, let's before we go to Malone, let's just relive that incredible shot from Nikola Jokic, because it is worth it. Let's go to Hoop Central here.
Cheated way in. Jokic going to throw it up from way. Oh my God.
Wow. Listen to Scott here at the end.
From Sambor.
All right, one more time.
Jokic going to throw it up from way. Oh my God. Nikola Jokic. All the way from Sambor.
Goodness gracious.
Are you kidding me?
Dude, I cannot get enough of that shot, man.
That is unbelievable. And like I said, my favorite part, the clip's not long enough there. By far the best part of that is, if you can find the extended clip, it shows Joker and he just kind of shrugs and just saunters over to the bench, sits down, he really does treat it like a 9 to 5. And it's so funny to see a guy okay, let me put it this way, KJ. If there was a bench warmer type guy and he was pretty lackadaisical on the court, kind of looked like he didn't care all that much and looked like it was a 9 to 5, you'd be like, okay, that makes sense.
Yeah, sure.
But this is the best player in the game. One of the best players of all time.
Mm-hmm.
And look, I'm not saying that Joker doesn't care, because I know he does. Right. It's just, I think that might be sort of the Serbian culture of where they're not showboaty at all. And right. Nikola Jokic is not at all. And he hates, putting praise on himself, which is stuff we've seen throughout his career. But it really is amazing to see the best player in the game, the best player in his generation, one of the best players ever, to just act like he doesn't give a crap. Every game. I mean, they won the finals, and he's like, when can I go home? It's amazing.
Hey,
We've never seen anything like it. Yeah. I mean, seriously, KJ, think about this. Have we ever seen in any sport one of the best players in whatever sport look like they don't care as much as Nikola Jokic looks like he doesn't like basketball. And again, I know he does. It's just
right.
like, have we ever seen this in sports? I can't think of anybody.
No. The closest example I have, and even this one isn't necessarily great, but the closest example I have is Barry Sanders. And I think a lot of that was due to the fact he was so frustrated with what was going on with the organization that I think it eventually started to feel like a job to him. That's the closest example I can find just off the top of my head. But there just have not been many athletes overall that, they don't really crack much of a smile. They don't really, they don't go crazy with the teammates that often. Everything is, like you said, that 9-to-5 business approach. Like you just don't find it that often in sports. But it's also the killer instinct you need to kind of be great. A lot of guys tap into this, what Nikola is every day. They tap into it for moments. But this is who he is every day. But I think you kind of need this stoicism to kind of really maintain greatness.
That's a good way to put it. Stoic.
He's super stoic because guys who are up and down. I hate to use an example, but Jamal Murray, super up and down. He'll always be known as a great Nugget. He'll never be known as a great player all time. Never.
No.
But
no.
Nikola Jokic's stoicism has really allowed him to continue to ascend. And what stoicism basically does, and I'm gonna hand it back off to you here, DT. Stoicism allows you to continue to ascend without the ego.
Interesting. Okay. Yeah. Yeah. He's ascending without the ego. I think that's a great way to put it. I was thinking like imagine if Patrick Mahomes, after like every crazy touchdown pass he threw, he didn't celebrate. He just shrugs and then walks over to the sideline and sits down. Like, you know what I'm saying?
Dude, it's funny you say that. I've been waiting for a quarterback to do that. Like, just don't ever celebrate. Just go right back to the bench. Like
literally, he throws a touchdown, like doesn't do any sort of fist bump or anything. Throws the touchdown, walks off, sits on the bench. Like, nobody does that in any sport. That's at the level that Joker's at. Like,
the only
it is
time he's ever
so weird to me.
The only time he's ever celebrated was his buzzer beater in Golden State. That was the only time where I saw Jokic kind of let his hair down a little bit.
I remember when that happened, I was like, oh my God, Nikola Jokic just showed emotion. Like, what? He's not a robot? And I will say at the parade, he was, but if you get 14 beers in you, like it's a little easier to be a little bit more bubbly at that point.
Hey, you'll want to stay on parade.
Oh, dude, he was loving that parade. And then they went to Vegas. Well, they went to Vegas first, actually, because they flew out with Josh that night. Yeah, wow. I've got to wonder if, like, in Serbia, KJ, when Jokic is at the horse track, if his horses win, like, I would love to see a camera on him to see how he reacts. I bet you he's much more enthusiastic at the horse track when his horses win. I would just guess.
No doubt. No doubt.
Because that's what he's passionate about, man. And, like, that's cool, It's just, I can't remember if I've told you this or not, but I've gone down some YouTube wormholes on like funny Nikola Jokic moments, and a lot of it is the stuff we know about. The win his parade, the job's done, we can go home now, like all of that stuff.
Right.
And I saw somebody comment, and I loved it because it's so true. Somebody commented and said Nikola Jokic was forced to be the best basketball player on the planet. You know what I'm saying? Like, like he didn't want it. He doesn't want to be the best basketball player in the world. He just is. So he's kind of got to do it. You know what I'm saying? Like, and that was such a good and funny analogy that I saw that like really describes Nikola Jokic well. Like, he's kind of forced to be the best player in the world. Like, he doesn't really want to be. He just is, so he's got to deal with it. You know what I'm saying?
Right. I know exactly what you mean, dude. That is a great description of it. He looks and plays like he is forced because oftentimes he's just kind of running up and down the court like, here I am making this amazing pass. Oh my God! Like,
if you watch him if you watch him at media day when the season starts, it looks like he's like, oh my God, I have to be back at work. You know what I'm saying?
I remember that, dude, because we were all there, just kind of watching, and I was just sitting up there like, look at Nikola, man. He looked so miserable sitting up here talking to the media.
Well, in Nikola's defense, and I really don't mean to call out our media brethren, but some of the questions that get asked at that are so stupid. So, like, I don't mind. I kind of get it in a way because Joker's just like, why are you asking me this?
Look, let's just keep it all the way 100. I know you can't say this, but I will. I'll say it. There are just some people there that, that's the only time they'll have that Nuggets media pass. I'll just put it nicely. So
you're not wrong. You are not wrong. All right, KJ. Well, good stuff, man. Like, what a win for the Nuggets, and wow, like that fourth quarter. I mean, that's a little concerning for the Nuggets.
It definitely is. The Nuggets, they can't fall into this trap of like relying on threes. That's the thing.
Do you think that's what it was? Do you think they got a little too happy behind the 3-point line?
Overall tonight, yes.
Okay.
To me, I'm going to, again, the analogy I use a lot. I think this is the anomaly, not the norm. So I am not as concerned. The fourth quarter should not have been that close, obviously, but I'm not as concerned. What I will say is, what was exposed again tonight, and is going to have to be an issue that Aaron Gordon is going to have to kind of take it upon himself to figure out as the new leader of the bench. When Nikola's not out, what style of basketball are we playing?
That's the question. That's the question that needs to be answered. And honestly, man, like that's what I've been talking about all year when it comes to the backup five, KJ. I've been harping on this all year. It was 3-point defense and the backup five. Now, I've relaxed on the 3-point defense because they've improved significantly in that area over the last month or so. But the backup five problem still remains. But that was one of my biggest things. Like when Dario Saric has been in there or DJ, it almost looked like the Nuggets were still trying to run the same offense that they run with Joker, where like the offense runs through the center position and they're trying the pick and rolls with whatever guard's in there. A lot of times it is Jamal Murray because he's staggering with the second unit. But I don't think that works. Like that only works with Nikola Jokic. So that's the other sort of side to this with the backup five. And you're so right, man. Like, what is their identity on offense specifically with the second unit when you can't run your offense through the center position like they do with Jokic?
Yes.
I still don't know if they've found that. They've been much better defensively with the second unit with Aaron Gordon, but I still don't know if they I don't even know if they know yet. You know what I'm saying? Like, I still think they're trying to figure out like, what is their identity on offense with the second unit when Joker's not out there? Because you can't run the offense through the center like they do with Joker. So I think they're still trying to figure that out.
They are. And if we'll be honest, man, this is such a nuanced conversation. And we can continue to have this, through the course of the back half of this stretch of the season for the Nuggets. We don't have to get into all of it tonight. But from what I've seen signs that I think in a perfect world, Malone wants Peyton Watson to handle the ball more on that second unit. And I think he wants him to facilitate more and be more of the man who kind of makes some of those decisions. Peyton Watson, the only thing that he kind of struggles with is if he can't get downtown, like when he's driving, he gets stuck. That's another part of his game that he's got to continue to kind of polish. The corner threes he's gotten a lot better on. Transition, crushing it. Being able to, move it out the ball, set the picks, the typical stuff. He's doing really, really well. When he's driving downhill, man, that's the next portion of his game. Because if he can get the driving kick down, what that would do for that second unit would take so much pressure off of AG. Right now, AG has to do everything for the second unit because Peyton Watson is not up to speed. In a perfect world, I really think Malone wants Peyton Watson to take control of that second unit because he has the ability and he just wants him to be more aggressive. As we all know, Peyton Watson, man, he was a mega star in high school. He did it all.
Yeah.
He could handle the ball on both, crushing on both sides of the court. Went to UCLA. He was there on a stacked team. It's just taking him a while to kind of find his footing in the NBA, and I think that's the role Malone wants him to play.
Yeah, that'll be interesting, something to monitor throughout the season. As far as the footing goes, like I said, I think he's really, really done a good job of molding into a complete basketball player on both ends of the floor.
Really
we've always known what he was on the defensive end, and not that he can't get better in that area, which I think he's becoming an even better shot blocker. We saw a couple tonight that were just outstanding. There was one where he kind of fell and hurt his hip, so hopefully he's okay there. But as far as like the offensive side goes, it definitely looks like he's more comfortable with his decision making. His shot selection, I think, has been much better. And man, on a Michael Malone coach team with Nikola Jokic, your shot selection better be smart. Like if you're taking bad shots, you're going to get to the bench so quickly. And we saw that happen with Michael Porter Jr. earlier on in his career. Those were, and there was obviously a bunch of issues on the defensive end as well. But I remember, KJ, there were instances when MPJ was early on in his career where he would jack up a three and you would see Nikola Jokic just sort of like look up in the air and like kind of roll his eyes a little bit. You don't see that anymore. And you don't see that with Julian Strawther. You don't see that with Peyton Watson. You don't see that with Christian Brown.
Nope.
So shout out to the coaching staff. And, Nikola Jokic probably has a lot to do with this too, of coaching these guys up of like, if you're open, shoot, but don't take bad shots unless, it's a desperation heave with the shot clock winding down. Like that's the only acceptable scenario. So I think not only Peyton Watson, but the rest of the young guys on this team have really improved in that area of not settling for bad shots, and they're making the right plays. And I think that's one of the reasons we've seen Christian Brown ascending this year. We've seen Peyton Watson ascending this year, and we've seen Julian Strawther ascend this year. And boy, has Julian Strawther also taken the next step in his development. I know he didn't have a huge game tonight, but he looks, KJ, that guy looks so much more confident shooting the basketball now. Like he is not hesitating at all shooting the ball, and he's got a lightning quick release. That's been really good to see. So great stuff from the Nuggets tonight as they get the victory over the Kings.
Yeah, no, big time stuff. You can see the progression. Like you said, even though Julian didn't have his best night offensively, and Peyton, he was a little up and down tonight offensively. Those guys held their own defensively. And Peyton Watson was, he went full peace squad mode tonight. There was no doubt about it. Christian Brown was good. I really like the energy from the others. Like, maybe they didn't have the typical production they would, but the energy was good. Christian Brown scored 20 again and this would be 20 plus for the third consecutive game. I mean, we're talking about Christian Brown. We're not talking about Jamal Murray. We're not talking about MPJ. We're talking about Christian Brown.
Yeah.
And so just to see the production from the others, man, if they can be consistent in the roles that they play, combined with Jamal Murray continuing to raise his game as the Nuggets coming up here in February will begin their official stretch run towards the playoffs. I think this Nuggets team, man, I think the future is theirs, man. I think that there's nothing, and I mean this, there's nothing in the West that can stop them if they play if they continue to play the way they're playing.
Yeah, it's really started to feel like that over the last couple of weeks. I mean, they're 11-3 in their last 14 games. I started the show by saying this, KJ, but I've got the feeling back to where you expect this team to win every night now again. And it didn't feel that way earlier in the season. So shout out to Russell Westbrook too, man. Like that guy, whew. I mean, that is starting to look like the best, not like the best like veteran offseason signing. That's starting to look like the best signing of the offseason as far as free agency goes. He has been way better than I even could have expected, and it's been fun to watch. And the chemistry he's built with Jokic this quickly, man, has it been cool. So KJ, great stuff as always, man. Really appreciate you joining me, and we'll talk next game.
Sounds good. Appreciate you, BT Nuggets Nation, man. We'll catch y'all.
Hell yeah, there he goes, our guy KJ Granderson joining the show. Before we get out of here, still a couple of things to clean up here. I do want to hear a little bit from Michael Malone and Russell Westbrook. So let's get that going here. You know what? Let's start with Russ. I've already heard the Malone interview twice because, like I said, I was doing the network postgame. But if you haven't, don't worry. We'll play a little bit of that for you. But I do want to hear from Russell Westbrook here. I have not heard this yet. So let's see what Russell Westbrook has to say after the Nuggets' big victory over the Kings. Here we go.
Back a few years ago, they hit a three-quarter shot by just chucking it
Yeah.
football. Did that remind you of that at all? Just have you ever seen anything like that other than those couple of times?
No. But Jokic come close a couple of times this year. So when the left hand has a chance, boom. The best part of it is no reaction from him, which I love.
So the person that inbounds it, does he get the assist?
I think it was a missed shot. I don't know. Is it a made shot?
AG inbounded it.
Yeah, hell yeah, he get assist. Make sure they put it up there. Let me see. Yep, AG, 1 assist.
Ross, the other night, Nicholas had told Shaq that he feels like he may be misunderstood in some other places, and that you always know exactly where to get him involved in those types of things. I'm not asking about those other places, but I'm asking about here. What is it about Joker and this team? How do they understand the way that you want to play that is helping you?
One, I'm grateful for them wanting me to come here, and then second, getting here and allowing me to be able to be who I've been my entire career. So I'm grateful for that. Nicola's been a huge advocate for that, for the betterment of the team, and I'm grateful. Like I've said before, to share the court, with the best player in the world, and I don't take the opportunity for granted.
Russ, you talked about how you play every game the same, doesn't matter the opponent, game 1, game 82, but where does the stretch of basketball y'all playing now, where does that rank for you in terms of joy, most fun you've had playing in 17 years?
Oh, shit, man, honestly, I have fun every time I step on the floor, to be honest. I like to smile. I like to engage with the fans. I love to just play the game. God has put me in this position to be able to do that, and I want to be able to bring joy to other people as they watch. And I think we're in a good space as a team. We're playing proper basketball, doing the right thing. So,
Why do you and Joker click so well?
Man, he makes it easy for me, and I try to do my best, make a game easy for him. Find him when he's open. And to me, my job is easy. Like if I'm on the court and the best player's on the floor, find a way to give him the ball, and that's what I do. Any chance I get any opportunity I get a chance to.
And that late one where you're almost into the layup motion, you pass it back, and he's got great hands, obviously, which helps. Does that kind of change your like the mindset, the decision making, right, on those drives about how late you can pass to him?
Yeah, definitely. He knows. We've sometimes, like I said, we don't even talk about it. He just knows that sometimes when I come to the play, his man jump up, I may drop it off, or I may lay it up. That's the advantage that we do have because I have opportunity to be able to finish. But he's also obviously one of the best finishers in the game. So make the right read.
Okay, so there is Russell Westbrook post game. Yeah, talked about the chemistry with Nikola Jokic so quickly. Joker just makes it easy. So absolutely fantastic stuff here. Before we get out of here, I do want to play a little bit Nuggets head coach Michael Malone, as the Nuggets beat the Kings 132-123. Your final. Malone not super happy with the defense in the fourth quarter, but that's okay. Malone, he's a defensive-minded head coach, so I kind of appreciate him, really focusing on that, even in games where they're kind of dominating their opponent. You can never take possessions off on the defensive end. So let's hear from Nuggets head coach Michael Malone.
You want to start with Joker? Or do you want to go to the defense in the fourth quarter? Where do you want to go?
No, you guys tell me.
All right, Nikola Jokic, nobody's ever done that. Nobody's had 30 plus points, 22 plus rebounds, 17 plus assists, dominate a game in every kind of facet. Do you have any thoughts on this particular performance of amazement, including whatever that shot was?
Historical. If no one's ever done it, to your point, I'm just going to say historical. And he continues to put up stat lines that, no one ever. I think he was 1 assist shy of a triple-double in the first 3 quarters. So his impact on the game, and the most important part of it is we're 12-3 in the last 15. Like, these numbers are translating to wins. These are not empty stats. These are not hollow numbers. And you add the 2 blocks, and the guy's averaging almost 2 steals a game. You think about his 10 years here, you think about the 3 MVPs, you think about the championship, the finals MVP, and this is the best season he's ever had. And that's saying a lot. So just continued greatness. And what you love about that, Matt, is that it shows that he's never satisfied. He's hungry. He's determined. He wants to be better, and he's going to do whatever he has to do to help this team win. So just another historical performance by a great player.
Defense in the second half probably wasn't where you would like it to be, but what does it say about your team that you're still able to withstand their run, withstand their pushing, and not let the win?
Yeah, they're going to make a run at some point. That's why, he asks that stupid-ass question all the time about people being in the fourth quarter. And tonight's a perfect example why. They did the same thing in SAC. We got a big on them, and they just ran the ball down our throats. They brought in Doug McDermott, and obviously he hit 5 threes and seemed like bang, bang, quick succession. But we did stay with it, and we got to win. We are 12-3 in our last 15 games. And not every win is going to be where you don't have to put Nikola back in the fourth quarter. We had to tonight. They jumped out 11-0 in the fourth. They made it a game, and our guys responded well enough to get the win.
Michael, do you see hangover effect after Joker hits that shot up 25 after 3 to we can take our foot off the gas, or we can let up a little bit?
I don't know if it was that, to be honest, because we've done a great job of that as late. If Nikola hasn't played in 4 straight fourth quarters going into tonight, that's because that group to start the fourth has handled their business and had a very mature approach. So we didn't get off to a good start in the fourth, obviously, but I don't necessarily think, Vinny, that it was because our guys just went out there to chill. You have to give them some credit. That team has been playing at a very high level, and they showed that in the fourth quarter. And thankfully we were able to withstand that run. And but to Katie's earlier point, to give up 71 points on 48% from the field and 12 made threes in the second half, that's not where you want it. But I love to clean things up after a win.
Michael, Aaron Gordon didn't play at all in the second quarter. He left the court and was frustrated after the first. What was going on with him?
I was told that he had to use the men's room, to be honest. I had his name on the board to start the second quarter, and then Dan Sheminsky, our trainer, said AG went back to the locker room. So wasn't sure what was going on there. Obviously played him his normal minutes in the second half. And that's all I can say on that right now.
Okay, so there's Michael Malone. I wanted to get to the Aaron Gordon part. That's also hilarious. Him, I don't know who he was calling out there when he said the guy who always asks stupid ass questions. I am efforting from my Nuggets sources, DMAC, who's at the game, who he was talking about. I'm very interested to know that, because it didn't sound like Malone was joking there. I don't know If you all tell me it sounded like he was joking, it sounded like he was very serious when he said that, but who knows? Also, shout out to D-Mac. I'm getting these videos from him. He's posting these, so did want to give D credit. He's down there busting his hump at every game. But, yeah, you just heard it there from Michael Malone. Aaron Gordon, I guess, was a bathroom issue. So good news, I hope. We all hope that it's nothing serious from, dealing with his calf injury and all that kind of stuff. But, Malone was a little feisty there. And, that's kind of one of the things that I love about Malone. Like, I get it. He can kind of be a little bit curmudgeon-y. And, tonight, obviously, they win the game by 9 points. But he wasn't happy with the fourth quarter effort. I mean, it's as simple as that. And, he talked about he didn't even see Jokic's buzzer beater because he was pissed off about the defense they were playing. He literally said he didn't even see it because he was steaming mad about the defense being played. But he's holding this team accountable, and he's not getting too high or too low after wins or losses, and, tells everybody how he feels. So good stuff there from Malone. All right, last thing before we get out of here. This is incredible. Nikola Jokic has more triple-doubles this month than Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, Jason Tatum, Damian Lillard, Anthony Davis, Isaiah Thomas, Steve Nash, Dwayne Wade, Tim Duncan, Rick Barry, Pete Maravich, and Paul George have in their entire careers. Okay? That is unbelievable. He has more triple-doubles this month, think of it this way, than Tim Duncan had in his entire career. That is a wild stat, and it just goes to show you how unfair Nikola Jokic is at the game of basketball. And I called him an alien on Twitter tonight because he is. He is not of this earth, I am convinced. He came down from the universe, from outer space, and landed in Sombor, Serbia, and then started to become a basketball player. Just incredible stuff from Nikola Jokic tonight. An unbelievable performance down at Ball Arena. Again, 12 of 19, 2 of 3 from beyond the arc, 9 of 10 from the line, 22 rebounds, 17 assists, had a steal, 2 blocks. He was a plus 11 and 35 points for the Joker, which is just absolutely stupid stuff there from the best player in the game. No doubt about it. All right, that's going to do it for the post-game show tonight. Really appreciate you listening, everybody. Big road trip coming up for the Nuggets. In fact, it's a 5-game, 7-day road trip for Denver, mostly on the East Coast. It does start on Saturday against Minnesota. That's going to be a really fun game. Obviously, a rematch of last year's second round in the Western Conference playoffs. Then they go to Chicago, New York to take on the New York Knicks. They go to Philadelphia, where Joel Embiid is scheduled to actually come back for that game. We'll see if it happens. I hope he does, because that's a fun matchup. And then they end the road trip at Charlotte against the Hornets. So I'm telling you, this stretch coming up, these next 10, 11, 12 games for the Nuggets are all very, very winnable games. And they're 11-3 over the last 14. I think they have a real good shot to make a serious run here before we get to the All-Star break. So excellent stuff from the Nuggets tonight. Again, they beat the Kings 132-123 your final and improve to 28-16 on the season. That's going to do it for the show tonight. Really appreciate everybody listening to In the Paint right here on Altitude Sports Radio 92.5.